Hello, hello. Welcome to the Wednesday Lyme Healing Circle. What actually helps when you feel stuck? When you have Lyme disease, co-infections, chronic illness, POTS, MCAS, all of these difficult chronic illnesses that pile up on top of each other. When the load is just too much and you feel stuck, how do we get out of that? How do we get moving again? How do we try to transition? And we're talking mostly about nuanced mental frameworks that help us get through this stuff. Not just what to eat, how to get good sleep, how to support the body, support the immune system, support the gut, all of that stuff. But also, how do you process through all of this? How do you go from step A to step Z in the process of taking back your body from Lyme disease and co-infections? My name is Ryan Kearns. I had Lyme disease back in 2016. I was able to get better using all natural methods, and I share everything here on this YouTube channel. So if you're new here, hit the like button and the subscribe button, and let's talk about today's Wednesday support session here. So also, if you have any questions, please post them in the chat. I will get to them at the end of this presentation. We do this every single Wednesday, and it's mainly to show up and be present and support you, and so that you know that you have someone that's on your side in this fight against Lyme disease and in this era where you have to focus on your health. We all have these moments in life where we need to focus on one specific thing, and in this case on our health. And usually we get there in a very difficult way, and it's a really hard time in our life, but then we find out that we need to focus our attention, our time, maybe even our money and our energy towards our health for a specific period of time so we can get out of that hole and get moving forward again. And that's what this whole Wednesday Lyme Healing Circle is about. It's about supporting each other. It's about being there for each other, lifting each other up, helping each other through a difficult time. And I want you to know that I'm here for you, and I think about you all the time. So, this is a weekly space for support, for truth, and for connection. A lot of what we talk about will be what it's like to live with Lyme disease, what it's like to go through this process, how it feels every day to have these difficult things happening. And right now, I want you to take a slow breath. So we're just going to start by grounding together. So this is kind of cool because we're in different parts of the world, but we can connect through this very simple practice. So let's just take a very slow, deep breath in and then a slow, deep breath out. A little trick that I learned when I had Lyme disease is that exhaling more than you inhale is a simple little hack that can actually slow down your heart rate. When you're breathing out, your heart rate slows down. And so if you extend that out breath, really getting rid of as much CO2 from your lungs as you can so that you can, kind of absorb more oxygen, actually, it allows your heart rate to slow down, and sometimes it can help you feel centered. And that's just a quick and easy way to think about it. That is why things like breath work exist, is to put practices around that and consistency around it, and make it a routine where you actually focus on the breath for a little bit more of an extended period of time. And meditation and those types of things can be really helpful for Lyme disease as well. And I want you to know that fatigue, fog, and overwhelm are valid. A lot of what we do here is really just validate people and tell them, what you're experiencing is real, because so often they run into different people that try to discredit them or tell them that they're wrong or tell them that they're crazy or that they don't know what they're talking about. Let me tell you something. You know your body better than anybody else knows your body. And if you know something is wrong, you should stand up for yourself and take responsibility, really, for what's wrong in your body, because other people typically won't take that responsibility for you. And so often I see people abdicate responsibility. It's like when you take your car to a mechanic because you don't know how to fix a car, but this is your body. You only get one of these, and it's only here for this period of time that we're on Earth. And so it's up to us to try and understand our body, our specific body, individually, unique, specific body, and try to improve over time, or at least get back to baseline where we can operate normally. And if you're here, you might be in a state where you're not quite operating normally, and you know something's wrong. And sometimes we get discredited when we try and tell doctors about this without the blood test to back it up or the antibodies to back it up. And that's just a sad, sad truth. So I'm here to validate you and tell you, look, these things are real. You do, if you're saying you're tired, more tired now than you have been in the past, you probably do have some level of fatigue, and there probably is some kind of problem at the core of your health that can be untangled and fixed, but we need to first know about it and validate it and accept that it's real. Because if we try to push it down and avoid it, we're not confronting the problem, and that's when they build up over time and get worse. So feeling stuck is very common with Lyme disease. That is a big or starting more often, or maybe your things are starting to bleed together, and you're kind of losing time a little bit, and you didn't fail because of this. This is just a hiccup on the road. This is just another moment in time when you're dealing and going through this healing journey, this healing phase that we all have to go through at some point in our life, or at least many of us do. So healing often comes from simplifying, not from adding in more stuff, making it more complicated, making it more complex. Sometimes we slow down, we focus on what truly matters, we simplify our process, and we figure out the very few things that need to be done in a consistent manner throughout a long period of time. And that gets us over the edge. It's usually not by adding in some other new complicated heroic treatment. It's usually by calming down, stepping back, looking at the whole picture, and untangling any roadblocks that are in the way. But first, we've got to stop treating healing like a race. This is the first key mental insight that can help you with Lyme disease. See, when I was first diagnosed, I immediately wanted to get it over with. I said, how long is this going to take? What are we going to do here? How do we get past this? But mainly, how long is this going to take? Right? It's like, how much of life is this going to steal from me? And that feeling at first is true. It is real. But in my experience, once I got over that feeling of feeling like, when will this be over? That's when things started to get better, because I accepted the current reality. I accepted where I was, and then I took actions to actually, get to a different place. But it did take focusing on how I was, how fast I was trying to go. Because sometimes when we say fast, we equate, if we want to go faster, we need more, right? It's like when you're driving a car, you want to go faster, more horsepower or whatever. Not fast. You don't always need more or more complex or more supplements or more routine or more add this therapy and add that treatment in. Adding more things in is more for the body to try to use and utilize and break down, and it's more for the body to try to you basically just use. I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but what I'm saying is that when we treat it like there's an end in sight, when there's a finish line, when it's a race, that's when we sometimes slow ourselves down by throwing too much in or trying too hard, basically. And, I did silly things when I was trying to get better. Like, I tried to exercise more. I thought if I had a more exercised and healthy body, then that would help me get through. But it's actually quite the opposite. I was putting more physical stress on my body. That doesn't help really at all. But the reason I did that was because I was treating it like there was some end goal to get to. Like it was another achievement I had to hit. Like so much of society is set up as, you have a test, you have to take the test to get an A, and you have to get good grades, and then you have to go to the sporting event and try to achieve a win at your sporting event, and everything is about achievement in a lot of it anyway in my life. And so when I first got sick, I needed to achieve that getting better from being sick, right? And that, I believe, really did slow me down. It held me back, because urgency keeps the nervous system stressed. It keeps it in fight or flight mode, or you can call it the sympathetic state, when we want it to be in a more healing and restful mode, known as the parasympathetic state. But stability is what creates the space for healing, right? It's less about how fast can I get to the end and more about how fast can I get something set up that's going to last. It's just a slightly different look at what you're doing and what you have to focus on in the beginning, because once you focus on how fast you can get to consistency, that's when you have that stability and things are happening correctly every single day and you get better as you go along. So seek stability, seek consistency more than you seek getting to the finish line or getting to the end of a race or getting back to where your body originally was, which may or may not ever happen. But for some people it does, for some people it doesn't. For me personally, I was able to get better and I did get healthier than I was to begin with, because I started really focusing on performance and having energy and, exercise and getting better and better in other ways after I went through that healing phase. So to recap, I started going really, really fast trying to do these things that ended up making me stuck. It made me way worse because I was too focused on adding in more supplements and adding in, eating like perfectly well. I can be a perfectionist if I need to be. And even exercising, and all of those were great, but it put my whole body in a state of, anxiety, of nervous system triggered, of being on high alert on the inside, not necessarily on the outside. But what it looked like on the outside is I was still exhausted. I was stuck. I couldn't actually I wasn't operating correctly. I was just trying to do as much as possible. And it got me I ended up getting worse instead of better. But over time, once I untangled everything, that's when things started to get better. And I see this a lot with a lot of our different clients that go through programs with us. They start out in this very urgent state, in this very hyped up, fight or flight mode type of state. But as we get them to calm down and support the nervous system and use breath work and slow things down and step back and look at the whole picture, then we slowly but surely start moving the correct boulders out of the way until everything flows perfectly well. But it all starts with creating, a plan to be stable and consistent over a period of time. But more protocols do not equal more progress. And I kind of just talked about this a little bit, but to go further on it, this to me really stems to when we're taking supplements and herbal protocols and different types of medicines or supplements. You don't need every just interesting content and data and science out there to dive into at all times. And you can always find another thing that's the next best supplement for you to try, right? And the thing is that a lot of them are mixed together, right? So they're like some wonder supplement that's just a bunch of different minerals and vitamins and even herbs or some kind of, other plants and mushrooms all mixed together. And the thing is, I don't trust that very much, just in general. The reason is because when you look at it, it's like they've done a lot of testing on a lot of supplements, and they have found that a lot of them aren't what they say they are. They have different amounts. They have different ingredients than what is on the package, and that is scary. I don't like that at all. I want to know exactly what I'm putting in my body, and that's why we created LymeWars.com. Now I know exactly what I'm putting in my body, and it's a lot easier to get to that. Because when I first started, I had to figure all that out by buying things in bulk because I didn't trust any of the traditional supplement companies that were out there. But we need a fewer amount of things and a longer commitment to those things, and that usually moves much better. But safety and clarity matter the most. We want to understand exactly what's going into our body at all times and understand how to be safe and what exactly we're taking. And that's a lot easier said than done. Like I said, they're doing testing on a lot of supplements and finding that they're not what they say they are. And us, on the other hand, we third-party test all of our supplements to make sure they are exactly what they say they are. No added extra ingredients, no heavy metals, no illegal drugs, no anything could get in there, because we third-party test so rigorously, and we will send it back if anything ever fails a test. And we stay on top of these tests every single month. So I want to make sure that that's very clear up front, and that clarity and safety matter a ton. But at the end of the day, an insight that most people won't tell you is that the emotional load you experience also matters. So Lyme disease often brings up all of these other emotional problems like grief, fear, isolation, and they all affect your healing. If you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling sad, all of these, through them, talk about from, and understand that being human is not a setback. There's these great books that I read back when I was fighting Lyme disease about self-compassion. I think Brene Brown is one of the greatest authors for this subject and understanding self-compassion, but there's a ton of science that back up self-compassion, and the work done on this subject is fascinating to me. But when I read about it, the main things that you learn is that, first of all, you're a human. So if you've been through something, there's likely someone else who's been through something equally as difficult or bad and worse than what you've been through. And so to remember that is sometimes calming for some people. It's to level the playing field, to understand that you're part of a connected system of other human beings that have touched this experience, that have had this same thing happen to them, is very helpful for a lot of people. And another thing is being your own best friend, which we talk about pretty often. That's understanding, showing up with love for yourself, understanding, and talking yourself up instead of talking yourself down, which is so easy to do. So that emotional load matters so much. And if you're carrying something, you need to get it off your chest, you can talk to me. And you know what? My email address is help@LymeDiseaseWars.com. So if you ever need to talk about Lyme disease or anything that your body's going through or anything that's holding you back emotionally, I'm here to talk. It's no problem at all. I'm typing my email address so you have it. Too often we lose people too early because there's no one there to talk to them and no one there to, kind of walk them through the things that they're feeling and the hard times that they're going through. And so I just want to make sure that I'm there for you as a shoulder to lean on, as someone to talk to. And that's really important to me. And I think that would have been important to me to have someone when I was going through a lot of these really, really difficult times in my life. And so looking back, I want to be that person for whoever else needs it. And so I just want you to know I'm here for you. So drop one word in the chat if you're here. I know a lot of people watch the replays of this, but I go live every single Wednesday. And if you are watching the replay, just drop it in the comments. Any will get the help that they need. Or in the comments if you're watching the replay. And let's talk about a gentle focus for the week and something we can all take with us on this beautiful Wednesday. By the way, I hope everyone's doing okay with the weather. We just had a big storm hit us here where in the United States. For us, there was some ice buildup. Schools got closed. Luckily, we didn't lose power. We didn't go through anything serious. I know in other areas they are going through some serious snowstorms right now. So if you're snowed in or if you lost power, hopefully you and your family are safe and doing well. But for this week moving forward, instead of asking what else should I do, like what other supplement should I take, what other routine should I add, what other microtherapy treatment, ideas are there, instead of asking for all of that stuff to put into your body and overload the system, ask, what can I make simpler or make safer? This is a huge difference in the way people approach healing. And some people approach it with let me add as much as possible. And for me, that's how I approached it at first, and it absolutely collapsed me. But once I made things simpler and I realized that I really only needed a few key herbs and a few key supplements, and it was maybe a list of like 5 to 7 things total, and if I just took those on repeat for as long as possible, and then on top of that, of course, fix my diet, fix my sleep, focused on gut health. I mean, there's a huge list of things that we can do for our health and things that I did for my health during this process. But when I was simplifying this down, it was really like a handful of supplements and just like go to bed on time at the same day. I mean, at the same time every day. And when I did those consistently, it helped a ton. And then, of course, understanding your eating habits and when you're full, when you're not full, when to eat, when not to eat, what type of food to eat at what point in the day for you and your specific body. All of those things can come into play as well. But the point is, try to peel some of that back. Try to make it simpler on yourself. Try to make it easier and safer. And that's all I've ever done and tried to do for other people, is make a protocol that's very, very simple and safe. It's 1 ingredient per capsule for the LymeWars recovery kit. It exists to support, educate, and advocate for people with Lyme. And this healing circle is part of that mission. So if you're here, I want you to know that we truly care about the Lyme disease community. We care about you. We give a lot to donations to LymeDisease.org because they're doing such great work collecting data and understanding Lyme patients and working to reach so many Lyme patients. And we want to I continue showing up every Wednesday. I go live. I upload a few podcasts a week specifically about Lyme disease and chronic illness so I can show up for people that need that support. Because I know what it's like to need that support. And sometimes it's hard to ask people for it when we need it. But if it's just there for you and you can just show up and all you have to do is come be yourself, that's all that I wish for. And that's what I'm trying to create here, is a safe circle, a space where we can have that mission to support and educate and advocate for people with Lyme disease and co-infections. So just so you know, this is completely optional, but we do have our LymeWars herbal protocol. It's a support tool. It's not a cure or a requirement. Always start slow and listen to your body, but it's here for you if you need it. It's at LymeWars.com. And don't forget to stay connected. Learn more at LymeWars.com. And this space will always remain supportive. It will always remain pressure-free. We're here for you. And I just want to support as many people with Lyme disease as I possibly can. My goal is to help over 100,000 people get better from Lyme disease and take back their body and feel like themselves again. And we're on our way. We're in the thousands of people. We just need to ramp that up to get to 100,000. And you and I can do that together. If this helps you, share this with a friend. Let's get, a group of people together that lift each other up and push through the hard times in life, specifically these health challenges that nobody asked for. I know you didn't ask for this. Just keep pushing forward. You can take back your body and feel like yourself again at the end of this healing journey that you're on. So that is all I have for you today. If you're watching the replay, say what's up for me in the comments. Hit the like button, the subscribe button. That lets YouTube know that I'm putting out content that people can use to get help from Lyme disease and co-infections. So if you don't hit those buttons, then nobody really ever knows about it, and it's a lot harder to reach people, and those people then don't have the help that they truly need. So hopefully you can do that. You can help me by just hitting that button real quick, and besides that, nothing much else for you to do other than just reflect on what we talk about. What can you make simpler, safer in your life? What can you peel back and not push so hard to make it so that you can stay consistent and stable and move through this process with putting the least amount of load and stress on your body? You can do it, and I'll be there for you every step of the way. Reach out if you need anything.